I'm here at the 2013 AAU Leadership Conference with Dr. Todd Maugans, the Chief of Neurosurgery at Nemours Children's Hospital. Dr. Maugans, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
Now, you spoke about concussions earlier at our breakfast, and I was wondering, what's the biggest misconception about concussions?
Probably the biggest misconception is either that it's a very trivial injury or that it's going to be a catastrophic, life-changing injury. And I think the truth's really somewhere in between. Concussion is a very serious brain injury, but if it's treated appropriately, recognized as it needs to be, the athlete needs to be removed from play, the athlete needs to be rested, the athlete needs to be evaluated by a healthcare provider, and never return to play until they're entirely recovered from concussion. If that protocol's followed religiously, then most athletes are going to do extremely well and be able to move on with their sport.
Great, and what are some symptoms that we should look out for concussions?
Well, there's really four categories of symptoms. The first is physical, and those are the ones that most commonly are recognized, like headache, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, sensitivity to light and sound. But there's also problems with cognition, or how the brain operates as a computer, so difficulty with concentration and memory. Then another category is the emotional, and that's especially common in younger children, where they become hyper-emotional. The really steady-natured kid all of a sudden becomes irascible or really crying. And then the fourth category is really sleep problems. And that's common in adolescents and young adults, where they may sleep more, but their sleep is very unproductive. It's very fitful. They do not awake feeling rested. So that's really those four categories.
And what is one thing you think that AAU members should know about concussions?
Well, always have an awareness as their children or their loved ones are playing sports for the possibility of concussion. If the athlete seems to have taken a blow to the body or the brain that would have had force sufficient to rattle the brain within the skull, and certainly if they're manifesting any signs or symptoms of concussions, the signs being perhaps they seem, to be stumbling or confused, or don't immediately re-engage with their team the way that would seem normal that they should, that then they should just absolutely be removed from play, get things sorted out, let the dust settle, absolutely never send the kids back or the adult back until they're fully recovered from their concussion. Those are the important messages.
And you mentioned removing them from play. Is there anything else that a coach or a parent should do if their child does suffer a concussion?
If they do suffer a concussion, probably the best thing to do is really rest. Physical rest is an absolute, because we know that the brain is really kind of starved of energy, and the best way to restore energy back to the brain is through rest. My research has also shown that the brain, at least in younger children, is low in blood flow, and so one way to increase blood flow to the brain is to increase hydration, but certainly to avoid caffeine and alcohol, which further decrease blood flow to the brain. And then again, I think it's important to have that child evaluated by a qualified healthcare professional that can take any additional medical steps that are required to help in the recovery process.
Okay, and last but not least, you mentioned that you were familiar with the AAU before you spoke at the conference. What's your favorite part about AAU?
Well, I think AAU's a very holistic organization, and that's what I like about it. It really helps at an organizational level, but really it's always been focused on the well-being of the athlete, and to me, obviously, that's critical. We love sports. We want to keep our kids happily engaged in sports, but we need to make sure that they have a good, positive, healthy experience, and the AAU focuses on that.
Great. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you very much.
That was Dr. Todd Maugans of the Nemours Children's Hospital right here in Orlando, Florida at the 2013 AAU Leadership Conference.